Good morning, and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran.
You're Julann,
I'm, I'm Julann. Sorry.
and I'm Fran. And this morning we're speaking with Vivian Hensley, who is a hypnotherapist, a life and mental health coach, and a biblical counselor. Welcome, Vivian.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you. And what is it that you're doing to make the world a better place?
Well, I am working with others that need help changing their mind about things, various things. We're all suffering from a variety of maladies in our society. And so, so working with people so that they can feel better about their lives, maybe change things that are not working for them through hypnotherapy. And yeah, that's what I've been working on.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. Can you talk a little bit about being a biblical counselor?
Well, being a Bible believing Christian, the Bible has a lot of answers for us. And so I use that to help people kind of figure out the way that they should be moving in their lives, what works for them, how God wants us to live our lives out loud. And yes, it permeates every part of our life, especially the parts that are difficult when people are in addiction or going through a rough time in their life, maybe grief or relationships that aren't working. We can get a lot of answers from our Bibles. So, yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. Do people have to be Christians in order for the biblical wisdom to help them?
I think it works for people that are seeking as well. I wasn't a believer till I was 30 years old. So I think that I was looking for an answer in my life when I walked into a church off the street in Anaheim, California. I was newly married and struggling. And so we didn't have a lot of married people in our families. And so we didn't know where to go for counsel or help. And so I've got a magazine in the mail. They had these little free magazines you got with the, free window washing, or, it had little ads in it. And on the back side was a ad for a VBS, which is a vacation Bible school for kids. And I don't know, it just struck me that maybe there was married people at church. So we
That was a
just
great idea.
walked into church and had little ones already and was pregnant with another one that's 24 now, and found a lot of in-person examples of couples that would help us and kind of guide us and be examples for us, because I really didn't have any tools at that point of how to be in a relationship successfully. I definitely seen what not to do. And so I really needed visual, physical examples. And so God was good to me and showed me those. And I think that people seeking, oftentimes through problems that they're having in their lives, they will look uh, for areas that people might be able to help them and show a physical example of what could be a help to them. And so in biblical counseling, I plug them in with resources into different groups, and maybe team them up with other couples or counsel them on ways that scripture gives us wisdom on how to live our lives here on earth.
Wow, that's really interesting. I don't think I've ever encountered a biblical counselor in the past.
Well, I was on the track to be a regular counselor, but it was kind of depressing.
Well, you are being honest. That's great. I think that is so amazing. It's a whole new way to look at it. And I go to church every week. It's something I feel very strongly about. It just makes me feel good. There's something I don't know. I love it so much. And I could see how that would be a great example for some people that are seeking out, some answers or a new way of thinking.
Absolutely. Especially since we have that framework in the Bible, whether it's historically through the, the first part of the Old Testament, or it's in the New Testament where, following kind of the example of Jesus and a lot of the apostles or saints, depending on your church kind of flavor, so to speak. Some of the examples they gave us, God was really good to use stories as a way to guide us along, whether they were just examples of things told in a story or they're actual historical stories. We have a lot of examples on how to handle things in the Bible. So, and then I just came into hypnotherapy last year. Actually, I've been using it my whole life. My mom was a hypnotherapist in the 80s for smoking cessation and weight loss and basically medical hypnosis. And she practiced on us kids. And I was a tween or a teenager at the time. So we were guinea pigs for her. So I've used it my whole life. I actually teach a movement and meditation class in my community to veterans and some of the older folks in my area. And so I use actually scripture and meditation in my movement classes as well. And my meditation portion is very much hypnosis. So yes, I've been using hypnosis my whole life. I used it through childbirth. I've used it through various situations that I've been in, whether it was like medical situations to kind of calm myself down using a script. So when I found HMI, it was like a perfect fit. And now I'm finishing up my first year and going to start my degree program with them in a few months. So I love it. And I just started my private practice. So yeah, it's been really, really fascinating to learn the Capucinian model through HMI. It fits so well with what I believe and what I'm using in the world to make it a better place. There's so many things we can change our mind about that maybe we believe that are false about ourselves, or that we're operating in a false sort of sense of things because we've always done it, or our parents did it, or maybe it's just a known association we have about something, and we can kind of change that through hypnosis. So yes, I've really enjoyed my education.
Yes, and that is the best place to go and get it. Absolutely. The Hypnosis Motivation Institute. Now, you mentioned the Capucinian model. Can you explain what that means and what that is, what makes it different than other types of?
John Kappas was a guy, I guess, in the 60s, and he through a bunch of very strange events sort of came up with this model of hypnosis. And so he started a school, I think it was 1968, and they've been around for close to 50 years now. I find it fascinating. They've never had a malpractice suit. That is just wild to me. And so he teaches this, and his son now is the director of the school. They teach this certain way of believing, a theory of the mind. We learn all about how to reach through people's kind of presuppositions about hypnosis and show them how it will work for them. And then through a little bit of testing, we get suggestions from them, and then we give them back to them in hypnosis. So it's really a fascinating way of hypnotizing people that really seems to work. They've had thousands of teachers come through the school now. They've had of hypnotherapists rather, and they've had great success in this area. They're the only accredited hypnosis school that I know of in the United States. And it's actually, they offer a 2-year degree program. So that's pretty neat too. You don't often hear that. You hear of weekend seminars or maybe a few months, but never a degree. I'd never heard of a degree program. So I've been really excited. Every single thing I've learned at Hypnosis Motivation Institute has been valuable, whether it's the business training, and they cover everything. They cover the history of hypnosis, the skills of hypnosis, the business model of opening a practice for yourself, the legal aspect of it, everything is covered in this school, and it's fantastic.
Yes, they even give you marketing tips and all kinds of fun things like that. Yes. And you can learn other things there as well. In addition to hypnosis, you can learn emotional freedom technique, handwriting analysis,
Yes.
uh,
Intuitive healing.
yeah, Reiki, all kinds of things.
Imagery, guided imagery,
Yeah.
Reiki. I'm in the middle of the intuitive healing weekend seminar. Trauma, they have a whole section of trauma. I mean, just any complementary modality that you can think of that goes along with hypnosis is taught at the school. So I just have been enjoying it tremendously, and that's been my most recent endeavor. I just opened my practice at the beginning of April, my private practice. I'm set to graduate with my first year in October, and then I'll have go into the second year program. But I am starting to take clients and just working within my community to really help people change their minds. There's so much that we have in our control that we can change, or that we're fixed in a way of thinking that we may not even be aware of. It's fascinating. And through my worldview as a Christian, first of all, but then also through my worldview as a healer, as somebody who believes that we have this autonomy to change ourselves, change our minds, it all kind of goes together for me. And it's been amazing to watch this all kind of play out to end up in HMI, and now to have it be part of my private practice. So
That's great. Well,
That is
all the
a
best.
great way to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
isn't it
Oh,
wonderful?
great.
And where I live,
It
there's
is.
a lot of addiction. And so I've worked in recovery ministry. I'm the ministry leader for Celebrate Recovery at our local church. And just the amount of hurts and habits and hangups that people have. And oftentimes we think there's only one way, and that's just stop doing whatever it is you were doing. And then you're kind of left like, okay, but now what do? I have to replace it with something. So through counseling, through hypnosis, we can change our mind and we can change our lives. It's just amazing.
It really
That's
is.
great.
Yeah, we have all the power we need within us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the theory of mind. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. The theory of mind is that we're born essentially with only a few instincts, fight or flight. And as we grow up, we develop a filter that all of our thinking process goes through. And that filter develops around 8 to 10 years old. And then we kind of close the door to our subconscious. It's harder for things to kind of get through. It takes a little bit longer time to process them. And so as we age, we start to associate things, positive and negative things, and we kind of store them in our subconscious. And oftentimes we don't even know we've done it. For instance, maybe you love dogs. You've always loved dogs. Like your mom gave you a puppy when you were little, and it's just been the best thing ever. And you just have this really soft spot for dogs. Or the opposite, maybe you got bit by a dog. And so you've always just had something against dogs. You just don't like them. You had this negative association that came from having that interaction with a dog. So we can change that known through hypnosis. And so our conscious mind is only a portion of our thinking, and our subconscious mind is another portion of our thinking, and together it makes up the 100% that is our mind. And so the hypnotherapist works with the subconscious portion, and the person that's allowing the hypnosis or consenting to the hypnosis works with the conscious portion, and then together they work together to change those known associations. It's pretty amazing and fascinating. And that was what Dr. Kappas kind of came up with in his schooling, and he was such a character of a guy, you know, when you hear the story of how he started the school, and him and his brother started the school, and they were essentially running from some people back east that they weren't supposed to stay there anymore. There was just this whole funny story about how he ended up in Los Angeles. He went there to visit and decided to stay and started this school. And it's been around now for 50 years. And most recently, they've conducted like 700 studies on hypnosis since 2017. And in every single situation, the outcome was improved with hypnosis. And so we know now scientifically that our minds can change or be shifted into a different gear, so to speak, as long as we are doing it through the modalities that we're learning at HMI, like hypnosis or EFT or just biofeedback. There's so many ways that we can change our mind. And I think the idea of hypnotherapy has been around for a long time, but Dr. Kappas brought it into this kind of way of using it that's very accessible for us. it's just been amazing to learn all of the things that the school is teaching. And just, yeah, it's just been amazing. I cannot recommend the school enough. I stumbled across them, I think like October 27th or something. And by November 1st, I was taking classes. So it was a very like quick thing. It fit perfectly. It fit the way they do the schooling, where we have 2 live classes a week and then 2 live or 2 question and answers and lecture. I mean, it's just such a easy way to do school. I wish more colleges followed the sort of prototype that is HMI. I could never get to California for 2 years, and I'm sure most people couldn't. And thank goodness something good came out of COVID. HMI went completely online. So that was a real bonus to the situation we had a few years ago, where everything shut down and we were forced to go online. But this has really been a benefit to, it's opened the world up of HMI to so many people to be able to attend college online live with instructors, with these amazing, just educated, capable instructors that they have, and all different kinds of people that are instructors from different walks of life, different places in the United States. And it's just been I haven't met an instructor yet that I haven't loved. They've been wonderful. So it's just been a great experience so far.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all very passionate about what they do. Many of them bring their own angle. You know, they sort of funnel the hypnotherapy into what it is that is their passion, you know. Yeah, it's a great place to go. And another thing that Dr. Kappas did that made him unique was the theory of emotionals and physicals.
Yes, the way we learn, the way we behave. It's been amazing to learn.
Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
So he had kind of 2 theories, I guess. One was our suggestibility, the way we learn, the way we take in information. And if we go through this quiz or this test with each person that we practice with or do hypnosis on, and they answer a series of questions, and it tells us how they receive information. And there's 2 types of people with kind of somebody in between. So there's really 3, emotionals and physicals. And so basically some of us are literal learners, meaning we learn literally, or some of us are inferred learners, meaning we learn with inferences. And then the person that's in between that kind of waffles back and forth, the somnambulist. And then he also came up with the idea of emotional and physicals for our behaviors. So in relationships, specifically with our other person, our partner, that we are, whether we're an emotional kind of what almost reminds me of being an introvert or an extrovert in relationships, the behavior style. So he had those 2 styles, or 2 ways that we learn and behave. And we, as hypnotherapists, we give those quizzes to each person so that we can tailor their hypnotherapy to their style of learning, which I feel is very, very important. My mom, when she was a hypnotherapist, she just did the 1 script for smoking, 1 script for weight loss, and it was like a one size fits everybody. Well, now we know that's not true. We are very individualistic in the way we learn, the way we accept information into our bodies and our minds. And so this way that he has discovered, this way of learning what somebody is, how they accept information, has been revolutionary, I think, to the practice of hypnotherapy. So yes, Dr. Kappas was brilliant. He, I believe, got his doctorate after the fact, kind of after many, many years, but he was not like college educated, like traditional, like you would think, where he went through a, day by day kind of college education. He came upon all of this information, I think, as a more of an intuitive person, working with people, and was watching some of his old videos. They have a lot of them recorded so that we can listen to them as students or watch them as students. He was just a brilliant, very intuitive person, the way he talked to people, the way he discovered that 2 kinds of people with the way that they receive information into their minds and bodies, and how he could tailor the hypnosis to the person based on this suggestibility or the learning style that they have.
Yes, absolutely. Did you find that you learned about yourself when you were at HMI?
I think it confirms things that you already kind of know, maybe intuitively, but you don't maybe have language for it. And so it gave language to what we kind of know about ourselves. I think I realized that I am a high kind, well, and I'm a somnambulist in a lot of ways, meaning I kind of waffle both ways, but mostly fizz. I am a very kind of outgoing, exuberant person, and I receive information very direct, well, indirectly in some ways, but directly in other ways. So yeah, it was really interesting to learn. I think uh, he was just brilliant. Dr. Kappas was just brilliant, and his son is just brilliant. The director also very intelligent person that is directing our school now, and they are looking toward the future of bringing more people into this profession. There's 8 billion people in the world, and so many of us need to be helped. And then there's the helpers in the world like us, hypnotherapists, that want to help others. So this gives us a very direct path to that. And yes, I learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself through this process. It's been amazing.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful. So you mentioned that you're not in California. Where are you?
I'm on the corner of Oregon and Idaho. I moved to Idaho from Anaheim, California. I was actually born and raised in the Northern Bay Area. In Santa Cruz, I was born and raised in Redwood City, and then moved to Anaheim in the late 90s. And I actually went to college in Anaheim as well, or in Long Beach as well, but moved from there in 2004 to Idaho, just wanting a better environment for my kids. Where we lived was right next to Disneyland, very busy, lots and lots of people coming and going. After 9/11, it kind of shifted our mindset of how we wanted the environment for the kids to be. So we moved to Boise, or outside of Boise, Idaho. And then just recently, like 2 months ago, I moved from one side of the Snake River to the other side of the Snake River. So I'm like 5 miles from Idaho. But my address is Oregon now. So
That's great. And if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
well, I have a website, hypnotherapistvivian.com. And yes, I'm receiving new clients, and really excited to help people change their lives through changing our minds with hypnosis, and just excited to counsel people and kind of help them to shift their thinking maybe. It's really easy to kind of get stuck in a way of thinking that's not working for us anymore. And so through counseling and hypnosis, we can change those ideas that maybe we're carrying into our lives. It's kind of like banging your head against a wall, like this is not working. But we really can change just about anything that we want to shift. We can shift things in our lives to have a better outcome. So I really want to encourage other people through my practice to do that, because it's available to us. So why wouldn't we? If we're not satisfied, why wouldn't we move things to a place where we're satisfied with how our lives are going?
Absolutely. Julann, did you have any questions?
I don't. I'm so happy that there's a way to reach people to help them help themselves. I just
Yes.
feel like it gives you all the power. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's so positive that I'm so happy that I'm a part of this and I get to hear it and listen to it. And hopefully these podcasts help other people learn about it, and it takes some of the woo-woo out of it. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
people, they get so, they shut down when they hear it. And, like Fran had said one time, or one of the other young ladies that we had on, you know, everybody thinks of hypnosis as making somebody cluck like a chicken, or, raise their hands, and how great it is to hear how much it helps everyone.
Well, and we can rewire our internal thinking, our internal programming. Maybe we're carrying around things that we had no idea. We've got this backpack on, and we've got all these things in this backpack through our lives that we've acquired, and we've stuck it in our backpack and kind of kept plugging on. And maybe we're carrying things that don't serve us. They no longer help us. They're not any kind of idea that we need in our lives. And we can change that through the help of a clinical, hypnotherapist that is going to walk us through, find out what we need, and then help suggest back to us through hypnosis that we can work on these things, that we don't have to keep carrying this giant backpack of experiences around with us when they don't work for us anymore. And like I said, I was going into counseling, but talk therapy can be so re-triggering. I feel like, if you just keep, you meet those people that I've been in therapy 30 years and you're like, 30 years. Wow. I'm sure it helps to some degree, but does it to keep talking about the same story? You're reintroducing the story. Our words have so much power. And so why not change things in your mind, in your life, in your body, but through hypnosis? Why not have a different idea or be open to inspiration, right? Why not?
Quality of life. We tell kids, don't we, that they can do anything they set their mind to. They can, and
Right.
and then as we age, we kind of lose the wonder, I guess, and we just get so stuck in the negative, even when, I don't know, you say your prayers or you're trying to meditate, and then all these crazy thoughts are coming in all the time, and you're it's so amazing to me that
Isn't it wonderful?
if someone is open, they can make such a difference and take their power back.
Well, and this is scientific. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
proven scientifically now. So I know we see this stuff on TV, all of the strange, clucking, and I don't know, just all this. Even I was watching with one of my kiddos was watching that Fuller House and that program, the TV show, and she was like, there was a part where she was like hypnotized and she was clucking and barking, and I just was like, oh my goodness, this is why people have such a strange idea. But when you look at athletes or you look at people that are neurosurgeons, they are taking time each day to sit down and imagine that they're doing their job to the detail over and over. They are literally wiring their mind with the idea of whatever it is that they're wanting to do. Well, why wouldn't we use that as just common folk to change
Right.
our minds about things? So yeah, I just believe it's true. It's amazing. It's scientifically proven now. We have all the neuro science to back up that our brains can be changed, our minds can be changed, new pathways can be made through hypnotherapy. So I love the practice of it. I'm really excited to start working with clients and to make changes for people with their cooperation and their consent in their lives for them, so that they can have a more satisfying life,
Yeah.
a happier life, an easier life, without carrying around that backpack of all these things that we think we have to take with us everywhere.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It was a great session. It really was.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Thank you very much for being with us today. Do you have any final thoughts on the importance of making the world a better place?
I just think of the potential for us all doing just a little something to change the world, and how much better it would be, if we could collectively be making the world a better place. And like I said, where I live, there's a lot of addiction, and just seeing how dark it can be and how much I just want to shine that little bit of light, that you can improve your quality of life, and others can improve their quality of life, and maybe it will just spread,
Yeah.
if we're all working toward that end goal of making this a better place. We're here for only a certain amount of time, and on earth, that is. And so why wouldn't we want to make it the best experience possible for us and our families and those around us? Certainly bad things happen, of course, and there's going to be suffering, of course. That's universal, I think, to the human experience. But why not focus our attention on making the world a better place to live in for our children, our grandchildren?
Right.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's wonderful to talk to like-minded people about this idea of, hypnosis being a way to change things for people. And so, yeah, I appreciate you both.
Well,
Thank
thank you,
you. We
and we
appreciate you.
appreciate absolutely. And for those audience members listening and watching, if you would please like and share this video. This has been another, and you feel free to subscribe to the channel. And this has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran, and our guest Vivian Hensley. And we are signing off for now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
friends.